Three tomatoes are walking down the street. Papa tomato, mama tomato, and baby tomato.
Playing Catch-Up presents.
Starring Lindsay Hinkle and Jamie Nelson.
So this is Playing Catch-Up, is it? I prefer something with a little more kick.
Everybody's favorite condiment-themed entertainment podcast.
Put some hot sauce on my burrito, baby!
Hot sauce.
Nobody puts ketchup on a hot dog.
Welcome to Playing Catch-Up Podcast. I'm Jamie Nelson, and with me, my co-host, Lindsay Hinkle. Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, Jamie. How are you?
I'm just fine and dandy. How are you?
I'm feeling especially creepy today.
Glad to hear it. Yesterday, one of my authors was giving a lecture at Steinway Hall, and he calls me up the day before and says, will you come and introduce me in front of, all the people? I went, and because the trains are still kind of delayed from the hurricane, the train was delayed 10 minutes, so I get to Penn Station. I'm like, okay, I've got 20 minutes to get to Steinway Hall. So I sprinted through Penn Station, and I arrived to the E-train just as it was pulling up, and I jumped on board. If I would have been 5 seconds slower, I wouldn't have gotten on that E-train. And then, so it went uptown, and then I got off the train. I had 10 minutes to get, 10 minutes before I'm supposed to be on stage.
Oh, my God.
I sprinted 6 blocks, and I arrive at Steinway Hall at exactly 2 minutes before I'm supposed to be on stage, and I, burst in. I'm wearing a suit, dripping in sweat, panting so hard I can't talk, and I'm trying to introduce myself for the very first time to my author that I've been working with and the people at Steinway. I'm just and they're like, oh, okay, get on stage. I'm just a total mess. There's all these older, very high society people in their fancy clothes going, what does she know about this great conductor? She's some kid.
Some sweaty kid at that.
I was like, oh, my voice is all shaky and it sounds like I have stage fright, but really I just can't breathe.
Oh. Did you get through it?
I did. I got introduced, and then I introduced the person who was speaking, so it was everyone was introducing each other in a line, but...
It reminds me of Bridget Jones's Diary. But there's a scene that's kind of like that, where Bridget Jones has to get up and introduce her boss before her boss introduces the author, because she also works in publishing.
Oh.
It was funny.
So, Lindsay, anyway, maybe we should get to the feature presentation. Who do we have in our waiting room?
Today we have comedian Nate Fridson.
Hey, Nate.
Hey, Jamie.
How's it going?
Great. How are you doing?
Pretty good. I don't know if you remember choosing art as a theme, but if you do, why art?
I consider stand-up comedy art.
Definitely. Because I'm a writer as far as short stories and stuff like that goes. And so I will spend a long time with a story, and I sort of turn off the editor in my brain and just allow myself to be artistic before I show it to anybody else. But I feel like with stand-up, do you really spend as much time with something, because you're always getting feedback and always changing things?
Yeah, well, I think that's, I think stand-up is unique that way. Artistically, it's the only art that you get instant feedback on. Mm-hmm. It's the only, no one gets heckled while painting. I mean, I think it's unique to the nature of stand-up, but I wouldn't call it a hindrance. No, I mean, I think that's how you hear this phrase a lot. I think it applies to all art, but I hear it a lot with stand-up, the concept of finding your voice. Mm-hmm. And I think that battle of trying to, make sure that the crowd is on your side while you get to the end of a point, or while you explore a subject, learning how to do that, I think, is integral to the creation process in stand-up.
Where and when do you do stand-up?
Well, yes, here comes the first plug. I have a regular show on Sundays in New York City at Beauty Bar that I run along with 2 great comics, Brad Austin and Adam Sokol. Mm-hmm. And the 3 of us, we run this show, and we perform on it every week, and we also have our favorite comics from the city perform on it with us. So there's always, you can always see different comics. You see, the 3 of us, but you will always see different comics there. And it's a great outlet for, it's a great venue. It's this place called Beauty Bar. It's on 14th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenues. And it's great. It's a great show. I'm really proud of it.
Very fun. Being in New York, do you have favorite subway art?
Favorite Subway art? That's a great question. They were doing promo for that Adam Sandler movie, Jack and Jill, and somebody made a bunch of the posters to look like Tyler the Creator. They had blacked out the eyes and put like an upside down cross on his forehead. So that was great. There was a great one recently. I guess the Subway art that I like the most is they have these. So they have these posters all over the place, and people do all sorts of mix and match things. Like they'll rip something off of another one and kind of create a mashup.
Right.
So they're on the recent promo for Mad Men. It's a very minimalist poster, and it's just a guy in a suit falling into nothingness, just this white background. And somebody found a Superman
Ah.
image of Superman and puts him underneath, so he looks like he's saving him.
Very funny. I saw one like right before Mob Wives came out. There was one where someone had gone in with sort of like a light purple marker or something and like gave all the wives black eyes.
Oh,
But I didn't know anything about it because it hadn't come out yet. And so I'm standing from a distance. I actually thought that was part of the poster. And I was like, that's terrible. That is a terrible show because TV is so ridiculous. It could happen.
yeah, and who are they to who's this person to defame these mobsters that they would hit their wives? What an awful group of people they would be, on top of also being mobsters.
Right?
They would be bad.
Did you go to any of the New York museums or galleries?
Yes, not as much as I should. Actually, the last museum I went to was the Museum of Natural History, so that's not really art, but that was really interesting.
I still haven't been there, admittedly.
It's really great. Yeah, so I have in the past been to museums, but that was they were mostly on trips with school or things like that, and so I gotta viewing this stuff as an adult is, I'm sure, extremely different.
I went to the Whitney Biennial this year, and that was lame.
It was lame. Why was that lame?
It was like just there was pretty much nothing in there that was really that worth it. There was one video thing that was kind of cool, and they had some dancing up on the 4th floor that you had to pay to see. But like everything else, it was just bits of things stapled to plywood, and they're like pipes with oatmeal, like dried oatmeal taped to it or something. I was like, I don't understand.
You found this to be low level art, or
it's probably very high level art that is just over my head.
well, doesn't that that's who decides what's art?
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing, like with modern art too. Like I like contemporary art, and I understand that it's not about how easy it is because they're not trying to show off their skill. They're trying to express themselves, say something, and I understand that. But it has to, if you're trying to say something, somebody has to be able to hear it.
I guess so. Somebody has to be able to hear it. Yeah, you probably, is it art if it happens in a vacuum?
Good question.
If a worthless performance artist does something with no one around to see it, is it art? I don't know. That is a good question. Because there have been, speaking as a comic, there have been nights where there have been almost nobody there. Does that make it less art? What about nights? What do you think about this? What about nights when it's just comics performing for other comics? Because that happens occasionally at open mics here in the city. You'll go up on an open mic and it'll be just comics. Is that art still, or is that more like a symposium?
Well, I would say comics are people too. I think it's still art because you can have musicians go to see like let's say you have a bunch of people who know how to play jazz and they go to a jazz show. They're experiencing it differently because they understand it better, I think. But I think they can still appreciate it.
I guess so. I think music is just different in that way. I think because there is the goal in stand-up of getting a laugh, and that's like comics are like dead inside, so it's like impossible most of the time, unless you're talking about the worst thing. If you do a bit about the worst possible thing, then comics will laugh. But then it's just then your art is just the worst possible thing. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I guess so. I think what I draw from this is that it just must be nice to be an artist, to be a musician. That would be great.
Even being a comedian, there must be comics you find funny, right? Who do you like?
Oh yeah, there are tons of them. Bill Burr, I love. I think he's great. Louis C.K. Obviously, Chris Rock is wonderful. The late great Patrice O'Neill was one of my favorites. Just passed away. So many. There are some great comics here in the city that may not be household names, but they're great comics all the same. Pat Dixon is really good. But he's even Pat has been on TV, but there are even guys who aren't haven't gotten the mass exposure that they should have yet. But that's part of the struggle, I suppose.
You're from Detroit, is that right?
Yep, I grew up in the suburbs of Detroit, and then I lived downtown for a few years, and then I moved out here.
How does the comedy scene compare?
Well, there are certainly more comics here.
Yeah, there's more people here.
Exactly. I think New York has the best and worst of everything. But the best ones, I think the best comics in the world live in New York City, and also the worst comics in the world. Like complete lunatics live here and try to do stand-up comedy. I guess, it's interesting in that way. You have to slog through stuff sometimes to get to the really good ones. But Detroit has, I think, an underrated stand-up scene. I think there are a lot of good comics come up there. I think it's a great place to start doing comedy. Unfortunately, there aren't as many opportunities to really progress as there are in New York. I mean, New York there are just so many shows and there are so many comics, and you get to see so many different styles and you get to meet so many different people and you get to get up in front of so many different people that it gives you what I believe to be a truly unique opportunity to develop as an artist.
Yeah, a lot of the comics that I've talked to, all seem to have recently moved to LA. So I was wondering if you thought about LA at all, or if you always you knew you wanted to go to New York.
Well, I'm not going to rule out moving to LA. I've never really been to LA, so I can't really speak about it. I don't, I know people move there eventually. I really wanted to focus on stand up. That's the thing that really interests me at this point. And I'm trying to develop and just get better and write more and perform more. And New York is really the place to do that with stand up, I believe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I thought about LA just because I knew I wanted to move out of Detroit and I wanted to move to either New York or LA. And New York, I have experience with. I'd visited here. I have family here. Really, just the allure of improving as a comic. That's what really drew me here.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I guess because a lot of comics also are aspiring actors, so I think maybe that's why a lot of people end up in LA.
Yeah, I did some theater in high school, and I know definitively that I'm a terrible actor. I don't get distracted by that.
You don't want to get back into that?
I mean, I would be silly to turn something down, but it would be better for me to develop as a stand-up.
Sure. Do you see much theater in New York?
I have not seen any theater in New York.
Any theater?
I know this is the place to see theater,
What?
but I haven't. I really should. I'm an uncultured idiot.
Well, it's a good thing we're talking about art.
Yeah. I don't read.
Do you have any favorite artistic cartoons? Comical cartoons, if you don't read?
There's tons of. I've probably seen of the art we've named so far. I've probably seen more Subway art and stand up than anything else.
Okay, let's talk about art and comedy on television. Three Stooges or the Marx Brothers?
Marx Brothers.
How about for sketch, Saturday Night Live or Monty Python?
I would say Saturday Night Live. That's I mean that's close for me, but I would say Saturday Night Live. I've seen a lot of both.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think Saturday Night Live from 86 to 93 was like that era of Saturday Night Live. I watched so much of that because I was really into comedy as a kid, and I loved Comedy Central. And there was a time when Comedy Central had like three things. They had like stand up and SNL, and I mean they would show the Benny Hill show,
Mm-hmm.
which I also have laughed at. But SNL from that time with Phil Hartman and Dana Carvey and Mike Myers and Chris Farley, Chris Rock was on it. I mean, there was so much there. And then after that, with I guess when Norm Macdonald was on it and Will Ferrell, that was great too.
Okay. I have a thing against Will Ferrell. I just don't like his movies.
I can see that. If you don't find his physical form appealing, because he does get naked a lot. So
And it's not that I have a problem. It's not like, oh, he's a bad actor or anything like that. It's just it tends to be like the movies he chooses to do just are not my sense of humor. Well, what do you have a favorite comical movie or director?
I love Ghostbusters.
Ah, good choice.
It's still enjoyable every time I see it. I've seen it more than any other movie, and it's still, I still love it. I love Bill Murray. I love Bill Murray from that era.
Stands the test of time.
Yeah, it really does. I really believe it does. I really like the second Pink Panther movie, Shot in the Dark.
Didn't see that one.
It's like it's like a farce. It's really silly. It has the types of scenes where it's like people, crossing a hallway at the same time.
Oh yes.
It has that earnestly as a farce can have something. I mean, I love Woody Allen, but that's partially because I love his stand up. I really like. I think Woody Allen is a great stand up, but I enjoy a lot of his movies as well. Mel Brooks movies, I think,
Yes.
are fantastic.
Have you seen both versions of The Producers?
No.
Okay, I was gonna ask you which one you liked more, but if you haven't seen them,
I mean the one Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder is so they're so great in that.
yeah, absolutely. The benefit of the second one though is it is like a musical,
Mm-hmm.
kind of neat. But yeah, I like the first one a lot.
I actually saw it on Broadway 7 years ago now. My favorite number was Little Old Ladyland. The really bright lights that they had on stage were just fantastic. So when the movie came out, I was so excited, right? But then Little Old Ladyland was just kind of boring, and it was really disappointing because, it was my favorite part.
Did they have like in the movie though? Didn't they have it like out at the fountain and they like walk through the park and all that stuff?
Yeah, like they were just like hanging out outside, but I don't know, the like Little Old Ladyland on the stage seemed like it was a theme park almost, with all the bright lights, and it was just kind of cool. Yeah, so there's my 2 cents on the producers.
I like it.
And I really appreciate. I don't know. I don't know what director to attribute these to because again, I'm uneducated. But I really enjoy a good machine gun parody. Something like the Naked Gun movies.
Mm-hmm.
There or just even like something like Hot Shots is it's like silly. It's like eating a piece of candy. It's like it's not healthy for you. It's not like good for your brain or anything like that. But it's so just I can appreciate as just as someone who's tried to cram as many jokes into an act as possible, their ability to get these many gags, sight gags and jokes in the script just that frequently.
Where can people find you online?
You can follow me on Twitter at Nate Fridson, NateFridson, and on Facebook. And hopefully by the time this is up, I will have a website sorted out. But I'm an idiot again. So it's something I keep putting off. But I've been able to. I usually post about my shows on either of those two.
All right, very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
All right, take care.
You too.
Bye. This has been Hot Sauce, brought to you by PlainKetchup.com. Please subscribe, rate, and comment on iTunes. Check back every week for a new celebrity guest interview or hilarious video. You may also want to subscribe to our video channel on youtube.com/PlainKetchup. Sign up for our newsletter on PlainKetchup.com. Please like us on Facebook.com/PlainKetchup. And follow us on Twitter @PlainKetchup. Don't forget to support this project by buying Plain Ketchup swag at our Cafe Press store. Have a question? Email Jamie and Lindsay at gmail.com. That's JAIME and LINDSEY @gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Stay saucy. Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, Jamie. How are you?
I'm just fine and dandy. How are you?
I'm feeling especially creepy today.
Oh, is that especially? Because I feel like every day you're especially something or other.
Yeah, I guess, any day that I'm feeling a little more something, it's especially.
The conversation didn't make any sense. Like, all the words came out in the wrong order.
makes sense to us.